let's start here with you. I mean, you were not quite as high as Happy Six. You gave it a 7 out of 10. For IGN. What did you kind of think of those the quality of life stuff that got ported back from subsequent Halos? We'll start there, and then we'll just kind of we'll go topic by topic here.
Sure, yeah. I do think that those things are, I would say, necessary, but I didn't mind them. I'm not a purist in a sense, like, oh no, you can't have the first campaign with sprint in it. It's like, no, sprinting was pretty important for the way this particular version of it is paced. So like, I didn't mind that. I think a lot of those things like hijacking vehicles, having the rocket launcher be able to lock onto vehicles as well, and then some of the weapons too. I loved using an energy sword in the first campaign. Like that was actually pretty sick,
especially if you're playing on the higher difficulties.
Yeah. Oh my god, because I replayed all of the original campaign Evolved through MCC before I got my hands on this, like a week before we got code for campaign Evolved. And so the differences were very stark to me, at least for the purposes of review, so I can recognize which parts are different. So, yeah, the sprinting obviously is a very clear difference. The ability to activate equipment and keep it with you kind of made a somewhat of a difference, not too drastic. But all those things are, well, I would more than inconsequential. I would say inconsequential. The things that, like the features that I liked most was, I think, the way they just reframed things like the library and a lot of the flood stuff. I think it actually made a larger impact. But by and large, it's the campaign that we love and remember in 2026. In parts, it does look better. I think stylistically, when I look at campaign Combat Evolved, and when I think back to my replay of it and switching between Anniversary Mode and the original graphics, like, yes, this game looks much, much better, of course. Don't get me wrong. But there's like a stylistic thing that I'm still like, I'm gonna be a very much a boomer about. Like there's something stylistic about the original 2001, like the color palette, the way those rooms are built, and the size and scale of a lot of those Forerunner, like the Forerunner architecture and the brutalist aesthetic to it. Those are things I'm like married to in terms of like what Halo 1 was to me. So like there's a stylistic conflict in my brain between what the was originally there and what's here now. But 7 means good. I think it's a good remake. I think it's still a good campaign. Of course, time has moved on, and shooters have done revolutionary things in that time. FGC has used Halo as a template to then build off of. So when you go back, you remember it's like, yeah, this is really good. This is still very solid. The fact that a 25-year-old campaign is still good today, I think that's the part that speaks to its timelessness.
Yeah, because like in first-person shooters, I'm sure I've said it 100 times here, it's my favorite genre. Like that is just those are the games that I love the most. And I think if you were to play most 25-year-old shooters, or even 15-year-old shooters, they're not going to hold up great. Like it's a short list of the first-person shooters that age. And I don't know, just to me, it feels like a genre that's hard to age well. Like a platformer it can more easily age well, I think, in a role playing game, particularly if it's like a 2D situation. It age better. But a shooter, like you said, its mechanics move on. The technology is such a big piece of it, but Halo has aged super well. And like Half-Life's on that list, both 1 and 2. The original Doom, I would say, from '93, and has aged impeccably well. Even like Doom 3, I don't think would even make that list as having aged really well. But 1 and 2 did, and yeah, Halo 1's on that list. But yeah, I'm glad that you were able to take the time to replay the original through Master Chief Collection to really set the stage for yourself, because that's another reason why the quality of life changes, those modernizations don't bother me in the slightest in Campaign Evolved 1. It's literally in the name. I mean, I know it's a play on Combat Evolved, but it also means campaign has been evolved. So, but the fact remains, too, that you can just fire up Master Chief Collection exactly as you did, and experience the original as it originally was. I personally felt closer to you on this, Michael, than it's more of a 7 for me. I don't know if that's actually what I would give it, because I haven't sat down and thought about it in a formal review context. But I said this from the jump. Like, Paris, were you at the original first hands-on for this at Halo Studios last year? Were you there with me?
No.
And I've said before, maybe my experience there kind of colored my thoughts on this in a way that is applicable to almost literally no one else. But it just, from the jump for me, it just never felt necessary in a way. And I know, Michael, you kind of hinted that a little bit in your review. It's not that it's not well done, because I agree, Paris. It's very well executed. It's like it's really, really well. It's not like it's some cheap thing thrown together. Like, no, there was clear attention to detail and love and care put into this. But it just, yeah, for some reason, well, not for, I know, I've said it before, Paris, you're absolutely right that we judge it by what's there and not what's not there. But I just can't, I'm not the reviewer here, so I can say I can't get over the lack of multiplayer. I just can't. It's because, yes, I know Master Chief Collection exists, but the idea is that it's the first step in the future of Halo as an Unreal Engine-based thing. And it would have been so much fun to see and play Blood Gulch in Unreal Engine 5, and Sidewinder in Unreal Engine 5, Hang 'em High in Unreal Engine 5, and to just go back and to sort of relive those multiplayer moments, especially, I know we're on an Xbox podcast, but especially for the people who come at this for the first time on PS5. Like, those people have had, I mean, if they're old enough, like I think the three of us are, Paris and I definitely are, you through that sort of Killzone and Resistance, like Killzone versus Halo era of the late original Xbox PS2 and the 360 PS3. Such a huge it's one of the series in general. Sure, the definitely has always been really
Yeah, and that's always a tough thing to evaluate, because like take that into consideration, and that's perfectly valid too. If you want to say like, hey, this is campaign involved, just judging based on campaign, by all means, man, it's different perspectives. That's what I love about like different reviews. I watched I was gonna call it Gamescast with you, Paris, and so Mike and y'all like going back and forth. Like, yeah, those are like I'm lower on the end, but like the points you'll make are perfectly valid. It's all about different perspectives. But I'm like a little bit closer to Ryan, where it's like, yeah, I know it's campaign involved, but again, like multiplayer was like such an important piece of that Halo. When you think of Halo 1 as an entity, that is huge. And then there are things around campaign involved that I really like. I think the Skulls are really, like, doing 4-player co-op is really fun. So like that kind of like takes the edge off. But again, like, and it feels like they always felt like there was something missing. I didn't want to make it too big of a point. I didn't want to harp on it in my review, but I did at least want to acknowledge that, hey, part of this whole phenomenon is that PvP multiplayer, and it's not here, unfortunately. What is here is pretty damn good. So yeah, but when it comes to the campaign, man, that story still holds up. I think like I came out of this despite feeling not super high on it. I think I came out of this remembering why I loved Halo to begin with, and I think I'm like holding on to that feeling more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, the point that you made, Ryan, and just trying to your opinion about like new players moving into this position side of it. One thing for me that stuck in my head was the son. Like, you're decided, hey, I want to start replaying through all the games from the start. goes into the meeting, and I'll never forget. He tells me, "Why is campaign comedy? This is so slow." He thought it was so slow that it didn't have sprint, and why it's like he had all these different complaints as he was going through Halo 1 to Halo 2, and he really didn't feel like, hey, this is Halo for me until we got to Reach, ironically enough. And I thought about that a lot as I'm playing this. I'm like, yeah, if you were going to play this for the very first time, that's a session with a lot of people on there, their first time ever playing Halo, I don't think it would have been that enjoyable of an experience, because I think we're so used to how first-person shooters and how the level design and things like that, and then this felt like a 25-year-old game, if they wouldn't have changed anything as far as that goes. So I think, yes, I understand the purists want sprint, they don't want sprint, they don't like bringing in some younger weapons, like even in the bonus missions, like you mentioned about your roots or enemies, stuff like that, to keep it to the classic game that we got 25 years ago. But I think it's necessary, honestly, because I think a lot of people that were in wars, so 2009, it's over time, it's usually could be having now these additional changes, and to the point again about multiplayer. Yeah, when this first got announced, I was like, I wish I could wrap my head around it that you wouldn't have multiplayer, especially introducing this to a PlayStation audience, because I'm thinking you're going to show this a PlayStation when you don't want people experiencing multiplayer. That doesn't make sense to me. Once I got past that, I'm like, all right, I know there's not multiplayer, let me just play it for what it is. That's why I think I had as much time as I did, but I think the multiplayer systems are valid. We'll see in December, they have the Halo Championships. I'm assuming we'll get some kind of announcement about something. It's just a film, it's international shit. So I mentioned so like there's kind of this thing. So I'll get to that. Yeah, and I can't help but wonder, because I can't lie. There's no multiplayer from a business perspective. Microsoft, on 3 Halo Studios, I get it. You wanted to get this out, and you especially wanted to get it out for the 25th anniversary. I can't help but wonder if that deadline of the 25th anniversary, if that's the reason that we didn't get multiplayer this. I don't know, someday, maybe it's probably going to be in 5 years from now. Someday I hope I get a chance to talk off the record to somebody internally at Halo Studios or Microsoft who can answer that question for me. And I'm not going to for me. I'm not sure we've got a million great games to play. It's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, but I do wonder if that had any, if the anniversary factor had any bearing on the scope of this project.
Yeah, what do you think about the idea that, putting, if Campaign Evolved had multiplayer with it, splitting the player base between all the different games within MCC and Infinite still going on, presumably? Do you think that, that was a factor behind the scenes? I tend to think, maybe yes, that was a factor in the back of their mind. It's well, we don't have to do multiplayer for this because we're already kind of splitting a lot of our fans to begin with between MCC and Infinite. But at the same time, Infinite hasn't really had legs under it in a couple of years at this point, and MCC is what it is, and I will always go back to it every now and then. But I feel like multiplayer is still missing that one thing that we can take on to what it's doing for the future.
Is if you're going to celebrate Halo, celebrate it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing.
It's next. And the next thing I want to talk about is the big new thing that this did come with. The reason that I was most interested in firing it up, the first thing I did, which Travis already talked about this a little bit, were those 3 prequel missions, largely featuring obviously Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson. So, see a bit about it. We've been on the battle rifle. You mentioned the brutes. I will say my favorite thing in the 3 prequel missions were the new brute variant. I guess the actual name is, but I guess I would call them the feral brutes. You shoot the red thing on their chest, they just go into a rage and they'll attack anything near them, even if it's enemies. That was a really fun wrinkle of this. But yeah, Harrison, love to hear more of your thoughts. Yeah, you played through it. 4-player legendary. What you think of the Spring Edition?
Yeah, I'll try not to spoil anything from the story aspect of this, other than to just simply say the fact that Chief was already known as the Demon at this point. This was before, combat evolved, and I thought it was interesting because this game, I'm not deep in the lore of the books and all that, so maybe this was already a new thing. But for me, and then the interest that Chief is definitely has features with the Covenant to evolve to be its reputation with the Covenant. I would have loved to see more of that and hear more about that and understand it, but I think about the bonus levels, and to your point, right, it was the very first game I jumped into. It's like, I want to see what this new stuff looks like, and how they're handling it, and having essentially the entire of all the weapons throughout Halo as part of that. Like I said, we're seeing this variant in that. It seemed to me that it felt it wasn't just, like I said, level design and CD is an old man at this point. Whereas, again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers on so too much about it, but I thought some of the open areas that they had felt good to play in, and you had some scenarios where the government ship as well. So it worked for me. It felt like a new Halo. Like, yeah, man, I want more of this. I want to do this. I mean, comically, one thing was like, because there's no Cortana, so Sergeant Johnson is basically the fill-in for Cortana. And we're playing legendary, so to hear them talk about this trash as we're getting one shot with like sessions and enemy flyers or not even right? It's just fun. It was like fun, and it shows to me that there's definitely a future for Halo. There's definitely more single player experiences I want, and I think I'm trying to not spoil anything, but I guess you kind of should want that you the flash check around and all that. Like, okay, more of that. Let's see more of that. How does that fit into a future Halo campaign? I love to see how that plays out. So again, there's just a lot of fun to me. It gets me excited for what's next with Halo.
Michael, how'd you find those 3 new missions? I thought the 3 new missions were fun as well. I think of them as flashes of brilliance, but not necessarily feel like any complete idea of what a future Halo can look like. I think some of the more open encounters, I think there's one where like a wave is just barreling down on you and you're having to deal with like a lot of enemies in an open space. I think that was a moment where like, oh, okay, like Halo can nail this type of combat encounter better than most. And then there were long stretches of the campaign where these missions where you were kind of just going down Covenant corridors again and again, which is like fine because the foundational gameplay of Halo is still very good. So I didn't mind doing that, but I think of the 3 missions as ideas that didn't fully form yet. And, the new missions are 2-ish hours, depending on how far you get through it. Some of those interiors, though, like the gold-plated ones that you see in here, I don't know if y'all did the Destiny 2 Leviathan raid, but it felt like Halo Studios looked at Bungie and said, like, let's take one of y'all's ideas again. But I think that stuff was really cool to see, like some of the multi-layer encounters there too. Busting out the needle rifle to sniping, and it was like those were the moments of brilliance I saw in the new missions. Story-wise, I wasn't like too hot on it. Like it was cool to team up with Sergeant Johnson in particular, because like he shows up every now and then in the campaigns, but here's like, he's with you. So that was cool. And the Seraph flying mission was like, again, this is a cool idea, but again, it is short-lived. That is a flash. A great idea that didn't fully work. But again, I'm not gonna I think I'm happy to play new Halo content is a thing too. I think it's good. I think this new content is good, and it's nice to see okay. I think there's still some fresh ideas already in the studios. What would this look like if it was expanded into a full game or a full experience? That's kind of what I was left with coming away from the missions, not necessarily being really high on the missions themselves, but being excited about what could come in after.
that they understand the fundamentals of what makes good combat counters in the Halo universe. So if they could do that through a full new game, I think that would be really dope to see. But yeah, it's like it's a cherry on top. Doesn't necessarily move the needle for me, is what I'll say. But it is nice to know that they are trying to rebuild Halo and have Spidiness to come along with it.
I'm on the exact same page with it. Just Control C, Control V under my name instead of your name. You said it perfectly. I'm a little. I did have fun with it. I really liked that we heard more from Chief, from Steve Downes in this, because obviously in Halo he's famously a man of few words and some time, particularly once 343 took over when we started working from Chief. But it was nice to hear his dialogue, which I do want to talk about that as well in a minute. But this is the second time. First, so Bungie is guilty of this, and now Halo Studios is guilty of this. So Bungie spoiled the space flight in part of Halo Reach in I think it was in an E3 demo or some release bit of content. They had spoiled that. I just remember playing the game when we finally, I think I reviewed it for official Xbox magazine. And just thinking, man, I wish that had been a surprise. Because Bungie was always, Paris, you know this, Bungie was always mostly really good about trying to keep the surprises for their players. Famously, the Flood. Like, we're never talked about in the first game until it came out. And in the second game, playing as the ARPA was kept completely secret. But the fact that they had spoiled that Reach, I thought, took away from what should have been a much cooler moment in the Reach campaign. And I felt the same way about the space these prequel missions. Why did they have to show them in that Xbox showcase piece? Just don't show that, and then it would have been a really cool thing that popped up in this. I mean, doing it was still fun, but I knew it was coming, so that part kind of annoyed me. And then, the sheep dialogue, that was the next. So, okay, I was talking to Miranda about this the other day, and I want to float this by you guys. I realized as I'm playing these prequel missions, and we're hearing a good bit from Steve Downes, from Master Chief, I went, oh man, this, given the sort of uncertainty, what the hell is going on with the future of Halo, which we're going to talk about more here in just a second. I looked it up, Steve is 76. I wish him nothing but the best of health and happiness. But by the time the next mainline Halo, in whatever form that takes, which again we will talk about momentarily, Steve's going to be 80 plus by the time the next Halo rolls around. So I could not help but have the somewhat depressing thought that these prequel missions might be the final Steve Downes performance as Master Chief. You'd be crazy what after that.
I don't think you're crazy, but I don't thought about this as well. And I don't think this works out. He's older. Steve Downes is right now, but still going strong as Peter. AKA Optimus Prime, yeah, and he's done some voice work on Invincible and some other things as well, but this is not the last week we hear of Steve Downes as Master Chief. I have fingers crossed that it's performance this is it, and manage to defeat it's the game to do it. I think they'll be more than happy to work. So yeah, he's definitely getting on that. I think so it'll be very close to the end of him voicing Master Chief, but I'm hopeful we get it.
Alright, so I looked it up. Peter Cullen, reporting on July 29th. yesterday was Peter Cullen's 85th birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Mr. Cullen. To many more.
And Frank Walker is another thing. Legendary. Yeah, Megatron's. What is he, Fred? And it's the same. Yeah, for sure.
He is 80.
Yeah.
He turned 80 this year.
And hashtag USA knows the struggle.
Okay, so utilities. What should we do?
Get money fast at CashNetUSA.com. Apply in minutes. Get an instant decision. And if approved, you can have the money in your account as soon as the same business day. Go to CashNetUSA.com. Apply for the money you need now. The exact timing as to when your loan funds will be available will be determined by your banking institution.
This year.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about, because like the thing I'll say is that Master Chief has always been a character of few words, so maybe that also helps. Like, it's not like he's in boring episodes, like anime episodes where you have to be super animated and excited for like to have that kind of range, because that's what works for Master Chief. That's the thing about the prequel missions where it's Master Chief is talking about. I don't mind that, but it is a bit of a total shift. It is. But Master Chief is best. I mean, this complimentary. Master Chief is best when he speaks fewer words, because the lines that he is given are that much more powerful. So I've been playing Halo 2, and I kind of almost forgot how that game opens. In that opening mission, Cortana's like, he's about to cut that shit open. And she's like, I never did think to ask what I think is my game. And he says, I was like, shit, that's cool. I can see two different. And then I stood up, and like, I played Halo 2 when I was a child. And I stood up, and I'm like, let's go. And like, revisiting a lot of those specific Halo ones, like, also like reinvigorated my passion for the franchise.
Still my favorite game trailer. It's that scene where just like the way he delivers it's so badass, and that's what encapsulates Master Chief to me. And whether or not he voices whatever Master Chief is in next, I hope he does. But if they do end up finding a sound-alike or a replacement, whatever the case might be, that's like.
Damn it.
It doesn't seem like an actual flex of the teams, but they're just
Come on.
notice it. It's just such a specific type of delivery that is embedded in the character of Master Chief himself. So, man, I just had a thought that I wish it never. I really hope we're not going to get AI Steve Downs. Because Microsoft's tied up in AI. I would like to think people at Halo Studios are anxious enough about the franchise that they would actually
Damn it.
from something like that.
Well, here's the theory. Don't forget Vader J.J. Jones sign off.
Yeah.
Using AI for that. So, it surprised me.
So we'll see.
No!
We'll see about the future. Steve Downs and the Parasite. Certainly, Parasite. I hope is we have another purple Parasite. But it is in play, right? And we have to acknowledge the possibility that might be it. But as far as what's next, so the legendary ending, of this remake. I watched it, so I usually just do the campaigns myself on repeat. That's kind of me. That's me where I live. So I just went and watched the legendary ending on Pitching Head. Somebody had put it up and worked community. And without spoiling it, and we're not going to show it here, you can go look it up if you want to see it. But there is, I think just to say how much not this guy. I mean, it's very. It's like put it this way. There's kind of there's a clear reference. It's like a fourth wall breaking kind of thing. There's a reference made to a sequel, which
They're gonna make a Halo sequel.
that's seemingly a Halo 2 remake, obviously, is where we're going with this. So,
Alright, we'll take over.
Was that your takeaway from that legendary ending? And if so, is that what you want to see from a game? And I guess have you kind of been, I don't know if you call Halo 2 Anniversary remake, I guess technically it's not.
Oh yeah, remaster with a different set of aesthetics, which I've been, as I mentioned, I've been replaying Halo 2. I've been bouncing between the two. I think the visuals on Halo 2 are more effective than the ones in Anniversary Edition for Halo 1. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the Halo 2, that Anniversary Edition is better about maintaining that art style, I think. But on the topic of, do we want a Halo 2 remake? It's tricky because I think that if they were to take creative liberties with the campaign of Halo 2, they could make it better. Because there are moments in the Halo 2 campaign that I absolutely love. I just mentioned the opening mission with Chief dropping the bomb. That is some of the most badass thing I've ever seen in a video game. And then just like the moments like jumping onto a Scarab for the first time, like that's such a cool moment. And the Arbiter stuff when you're introduced and you're put up
Damn it.
for the first time. Like, it's just powerful moments in the Halo franchise that don't need to be touched. But as you get later on that campaign, I think there are ways to make it more elegant, to make it more seamless, I guess. And I think that campaign does end up losing a little bit of steam, but if they take creative liberties towards the end of it, I think
Fucking crap.
really special. That would be cooler than the Halo 1 remake. Because, like, you know, there are changes later on in that campaign for Campaign Evolved, which are nice. But if they were to take a stab at Halo 2, I would want to see them do a little bit more with the creative freedom that they get. Because it seems to me, and if you've played and if you finish the prequel missions, the under $3 menu at McDonald's chicken is $1.50. Because when you're craving a chicken, you deserve the chicken.
No.
Sounds crazy. Say never actually ends.
Oh, it's gonna be a long night.
That is further evidence that they are thinking about doing this kind of thing. So it almost like you put those two together, it's like, well, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion at this point. But again, as to what they would do with Halo 2, I think that, and also if you were to make Halo 2, you gotta do the multiplayer, man. And Halo 2 multiplayer is Zanzibar. I got to the dog. Like, it's a, well, again, obviously Halo 3 is like the 360 era was like the peak of Halo multiplayer, but I think 2 is still the #1 multiplayer for Halo for me because of.
Come on, let's go.
Customization options, like of course you have FCC and a lot of Forge, and you have all that customization now with the Cross. But at UE5, Halo 2 remake, you gotta have a multiplayer mode. It's just peak multiplayer shooting stuff, man. You gotta have it.
Yes!
A thought campaign. I think that could be something special. I think it would be impactful. The campaign of all kind of is.
Chief, where are you going? To get the Covenant back there. And Paris. That's me.
There we go.
Just legendary. Not the legendary. This is actually Halo 2. You can Sergeant Johnson is asked, hey, how did you get back to Earth? And he simply says, that's classified. There's your bonus mission training right there. Easy.
Like, has some guys.
Well, the only thing is obviously you gotta get Chief in there somehow. So find out how does Sergeant Johnson get back to Earth. Let's show that. I actually want to see that. And then take that.
I think it's the same.
Was that an E3? To demo, I think 4 or 5 times. And it was that whole thing where you initially found out two buildings happening. You're looking at IGN Films for some of that. It's like today, see everything that's happening now. Integrate that into the campaign because they tried to kind of create that in the campaign mission. Just pull that whole thing out, pull that in, redo it, modernize it, and it would be amazing to have that for sure. So, yeah, I think there's so much you could do with Halo 2, like from a campaign standpoint, to your point. Please just give me those multiplayer maps. If there's any multiplayer to Halo, give me Halo 2. I have so many memories. I will never forget going to GameStop at night paying on Halo 2.
Fuck.
And playing those multiplayer maps until the sun came up. I mean, that's just how transformative that was. At the Xbox Live is what it is today because of Halo 2 and the party system and everything they're able to do at the time. So, yes, please, give us a Halo 2 remake. Give us these bonus missions with Sergeant Johnson potentially going back to Earth. Integrate that E3 demo into
You didn't say what I thought you were going to say. You said the famously cut E3 demo out, because that was.
Oh, she'd been picked.
They did some years ago where they like went and they had it on a dev kit and then like up and were actually playing it and sort of showing it. It was duct taped together. But yes, it is like if you can get it, you can play it on PC. But so the thing I was going to say, number one, I absolutely think that this legendary ending of campaign Evolve is 100% saying there's going to be an Halo 2 remake. Whether or not it gets announced as soon as the Halo World Championships this year. TBD on that, I guess, because we just don't know what their timeline is. But yeah, I think that they're clearly indicating that's the way they're going to go. I think, Harris, you nailed it with the Sergeant Johnson getting back to Earth. There's your bonus missions. That would be so great. For me, the other way it could go, maybe it could be both. I don't know if they would do both, but the thing I would really, really, really love to see, and I don't think it would mess with Halo 3, is make the final mission that was famously cut. And Bungie and I, you're finally admitted, yes, we had a plan for the last level. Like I have multiple. I have Marty O'Donnell on camera explaining this in my unfiltered interview with him from forever ago. It's out there. Because for those of you that have played Halo 2, especially if you played it back in the day, you probably remember how Halo 2 doesn't so much end as it stops. Yeah. So, I've told the story, and I'm not going to tell the story again about how I almost, because I was playing it at Bungie for the official Xbox Magazine review, whether I finished it or not Smith, and I finished before Rob did, and when the credits rolled, I literally thought it was a bug. I was like, the last level is supposed to start. The credits rolled. Thank God I kept that to myself. I didn't run it. That would have probably not. I never would have much again. That's kind of what I was getting at when I say like the Halo 2 campaign like just kind of runs out of steam at the end. Yeah. Like that's obviously just being like no, that's not the end of this game. But anyway, yeah. Doing that last mission, because I think Marty O'Donnell had told me somebody told me that like the storyboards exist for that. Like there's material to build off of there to do crazy, amazing like ending to that game. But I just want to add on and say I'm so glad that both of you so strongly said if there's a Halo 2 remake, it needs to have multiplayer because I feel so exactly the same way, yes, for the same reasons. It is the greatest Xbox multiplayer game of all time. We take the questions. That is not the game. It's the reflection. It's the key. Xbox Live. Yes, it is. I mean, and for those of you that are too young for it, you're going to think what I'm about to say is just an old guy exaggerating, but I promise when I say this, it is 100% real, and that is it is the most advanced matchmaking system in gaming, period. Because even at the time, Paris, you remember, PC multiplayer shooters, you would browse a list of servers and pick one, and then jump into it, and then you'd play the game would end, and you'd go back and have to go back to the server list and pick another damn game. And Max Silverman and the Bungie team, they created that whole virtual couch system where you could get together with your friends, stay with your friends, configure whatever you wanted. You could go into matchmaking together, which we've never seen before. Yeah, to that point. And then on top of it all, not only was it so amazing under the hood, if you will, but I will go to my grave arguing that Halo 2 has the best collection of multiplayer maps in a shooter film. Counter-Strike has one legendary map. No one can tell you this. He does. Shooters of all time. Halo 2 is it has Sandstorm, it has Lockout, it has Ivory Tower, it has Ascension, it has Midship. Oh my god, one of the greatest of all time. I mean, it is, and then they even added on into the multiplayer map pack later that added even more great maps. So, yeah, for his just lack of, for as unexcited as I was and am about Campaign Evolved, despite acknowledging and executing what it is, I will be actively antagonistic towards a Halo 2 remake if it does not have a Unreal Engine 5 remade multiplayer. If they want to just do the original 12 maps and leave out the multiplayer map for development timeline, budget, I'd be okay with it. It's a good thing. I would be okay with that, but yeah, I will be here in Georgia, heading to Halo Studios' front door. If there's a Halo 2 remake without PvP multiplayer, I can't imagine that. I just can't put it any clearer.
Shit.
That goes back to the whole, again, like you mentioned, at the Halo Championships in December, we get some clarification on the future of multiplayer for Halo. Because even if it's not, let's just say it's not part of the Halo 2 remake, but they're announcing, hey, we're having, I don't know, some standalone thing, and we're going to bring all those classic maps into it. That would be the compromise to that. But, I mean, who knows? So we will obviously see what they're able to announce. They got to
Indiana, defending champs.
Because, I mean, Infinite, they stopped active support of it, was it 2 years ago? I think. Yeah, so we got to do something for multiplayer with Halo.
Well, that's a good segue into kind of the last part of the Halo conversation.
Defending champs.
Which is a new super fun multiplayer game that's about to come out. A quick yes or no. I expect I know what each of you are going to say. If Halo 2 remake is a thing, that guarantees there's going to be a Halo 3 remake, right, guys? Yeah, there's no way they do 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? So,
yeah, they can finish it, just like
especially when 3 is the
Come on, I gotta play Oregon again.
Yeah, so sad. And I like the Halo 3's campaign still feels better than it does. But again, kind of going back to the idea, like I want Halo Studios to again, I'm not a purist of these things, but I want them to take and to have creative freedom to make these things still true to what they were, and also expand on them in meaningful ways. If they need, I want to see if they need that. If you're gonna do Halo 3, you can. You got my permission, I guess.
So, we have different discussions with that too. Alright, so we know when Chief is on his way back to Earth and he literally jumps out the ship, and lands in the forest. So with them, the Arbiter. So maybe there's some bonus missions where you're meeting Chief, you're the Arbiter with Sergeant Johnson, and it leads right out to when you meet up with Chief.
You nailed it. Man. Yeah.
Oh, come on, you gotta pick that off.
wasn't at the time, though.
I think I was a little too young to be in those kinds of conversations, but I respect that.
I mean, it's had the sort of same as the prequel Star Wars movies.
Sure.
At the time, it was like, we need this, and then generation, and like I fully embraced it. It's like, no, but we love Alright, so we all agree if Halo 2 remakes happening, Halo 3 remakes gotta happen. But it still begs the question for the last part of the Halo conversation here. Well, what is the next new Halo thing? Where are we going from here? What's the next mainline game?
There we go.
You mentioned, this has been sort of chat about this. Are we moving away from multiplayer suites in new Halo games? Forget about remakes. Are we moving away from multiplayers that are tied to new campaign releases? And is it just going to be it's not standard living thing and exclusively either one of you thinking out what's the next mainline campaign? So Mike, I'll go to you first.
Man, I really don't know. I don't know if they're willing to pick up the pieces of what Infinite left off. I watched back your review also, Ryan, of Infinite, and I was like, yeah, that Infinite campaign was pretty cool. I think at first I was like, open world Halo, not sure, open campaign design, that works, that's still the spirit, but I don't know if I was feeling it. I played it, there's some fantastic ideas. I feel like 343, now Halo Studios, I feel like they always have ideas, they don't always fully execute them, and Infinite is an example of that. I would like for them to pick up Infinite themselves. I think there's something worth exploring there still, and it's a logical way to continue Chief, and that's kind of what people want, for you to tie yourself to Infinite, right? Maybe it wasn't fully received well, you cut ties, you take the series in a different direction, but the new Halos, 7, you drop the number, and just start giving it subtitles. I think, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter which direction they go. Just for them to have those fully formed ideas and deliver them in a way that gives me hope that there is longevity with the series and not just a one-time thing. Do what you want, and don't do what you did with Halo 4. Go this Infinite direction.
Yeah.
Just commit to it, see where that takes you.
What a play!
Yeah, because they have the fortunate path, man. The ball's been in their court for a very long time, and nothing's quite stuck the way that Bungie era. Maybe that's just us bad geeks that's just us being Uggs and being nostalgia bound to the original Halo trilogy and ODST Reach by extension. I still, part of me still trust that they understand what makes Halo special. So pick a direction, go all in on it, and we'll see where that leads us. Now we gotta go help people customize and save colors.
And the 2.
Go all in on it, and we'll see where that leads us. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. Just, it's like in a lane and go all that in. And from the outside looking in, it does seem like they're going to decouple it. It just seems like, which, okay, you need to explain it so that people understand, because it sounds like, are we still doing these battle pits? It's still in place. It's a decouple it from. That's what Chief is going to be. As I say again, I think December is an opportunity to help people understand what that future is going to look like. Now, stick to the camp.
Pick 6!
Personally, I thought it was fine. I really enjoyed it. I did want to see that continue. I think there's a grade that kind of gives a peek into Big Knot. Because, the Coalition decided to go back into the past with Gears of War. I would be surprised if they did something similar to Halo and kind of get the band back together with Chief Cortana, Brandon Keys, Sergeant just get everyone back and, versus this future that they've already, I can see it surprise me if they did a real campaign.
Let's go.
Is it said between the events of Halo and like a just yeah, so maybe it would shock me if they did that, just so that they can kind of hit that nostalgia again of characters that we know and care about at this point. I think they're really small. That's important.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've talked before on here. Rebooting Halo, is that really the direction it's going? I still I think they're pros and cons either way, and it's a player piece. I totally hear you.
Come on.
Decoupling it, and I mean they kind of did that with Infinite. They made the multiplayer its own free-to-play thing, and I guess there's pros and cons. So the pro I wrote down for decoupling it is it's like, but if you have a successful multiplayer, it's not going to be displaced every 4 or 5 years or whatever. Brand new Halo campaign release. But then there's also a flip side to that. In the sense of an argument against it, but Call of Duty resets its.
Wow, I can't believe you held on to that.
They've been able to do it's obviously a much bigger franchise at this point, particularly on the multiplayer side that Halo is, but Call of Duty has figured out how to just keep people playing their multiplayer every year, even though they put out a new game with new multiplayer every year. So there's that. Yeah. All I'll say about Call of Duty, they have Warzone, that Nexus of Perpetuity. True, and I feel like the Call of Duty fan base, listen, I'm not talking smack, but y'all have been conditioned to accept a new multiplayer every single year. That's true. Halo, on the other hand, is desperate for something that clings, and if they can't get that, they have to hold on to it no matter what. So that's just the con, I think, to doing a decoupled multiplayer experience. And maybe there are easy design solutions for this that would negate what I'm about to say. But if there's
Come on, no!
We might not see the same differentiation and creative risk-taking that we have seen with Halo in the past. We just got done talking about how great Halo 2's multiplayer was, it was its own huge leap over Halo 1. And then Halo 3, I would argue, was a refinement of 2. But then Reach kind of went off in its own direction. Maybe not quite as beloved on the multiplayer front. And then 343 came in and 4, 5, Infinite. Those multiplayer experiences are all very unique experiences. And I guess I would worry that if there's one multiplayer thing as the kind of mainline thing, then it would disincentivize that sort of
Damn it.
creative action. I mean, like, that's just going to be the same thing. I don't know if I see it. Obviously, it would depend on what their vision and roadmap would be for that.
Surprised he's not going for 2.
Player suite. But if it existed by UE5 in perpetuity, then I feel like that's like a pretty good foundation. So just like experiment with things. Like we're not at an age where we're still trying to figure out how multiplayer shooters work. It's pretty established at this point. But if you have that suite, you can be creative with it without having to like sell it back to people. And if something doesn't work, you can pull it out of the game, run something else. You can do firefights, you can do PvP, different moments, you have customization. I feel like that still gives them at least a big enough foundation to do these creative things. Like I'm not talking about Hogwarts though, Michael. I'm talking about the actual like core innovation piece of the game, like the physics and the different vehicles and different weapons. Like yeah, go from one Halo to the next. Like the experience is a different experience at the time. I see what you're saying. It's like yeah. It's kind of like, you know, maybe like the car games where it's like, hey, the physics are fundamentally different, even though it is still a racing game. How do you Forza Motorsport tried that?
Ooh.
That does present an interesting question, and if I had the answer, man, I would make so much money, dude. Give me the creative multi that I love it. Halos, dude, yeah. Maybe, so yeah, we'll see. And then I guess I'll just end by giving my take on the campaign situation after you guys weighed in. I am of the opinion, which of course is meaning
Doodles, you come here. Doodles.
Infinite. I did the campaign on Halo for IGN and we gave it a 9 and we stand by.
Doodles.
Breathe in the comfort of with 20 years in business, you can relax and sleep in comfort.
And by that, it's been 25 years of this same canon, this same story, and Infinite favorites. And I guess it's a mini spoiler if you haven't played Infinite, but it ends on a straight up cliffhanger. And I think I'm over this story. Like, not that I don't like it, I wouldn't have given it a 9 if I didn't disagree, but
Just took too long on that play action.
It's necessarily suggesting that a reboot is the way to go. It could be. Paris, what you were saying about a reboot, it's gonna. Amanda's on assignment this week, and as I was saying earlier, she and I were in a meeting.
Fuck on it.
And being like 5 minutes of actual meeting, and then we talked about Halo for the last 25 minutes. And one of the things that she said, so I'm gonna kind of just throw her piece in here real quick, that I was on board with is, to your point, Paris, about going backwards in the timeline, but not necessarily to before.
Oh shit. Oh my god, what the fuck?
And suggested, and I there are so many adventures with one team that we could explore in the Halo universe. I've read some of them, as I've read some of them, definitely not all of them, but I've read plenty about Linda and Fred and John and Blue Team. And Halo 5 teased us with that, but as with basically everything in Halo 5's campaign, it fell on its face and failed to deliver on the campaign front. So, and then Blue Team is alluded to in one of the reporting things that you find in Intel. So that's where I would go. And you could potentially, that's your 4-player co-op solution is, guess what, your Blue Team. So you can tell really cool stories with Blue Team I think that's where I would want to go. And, if I were in charge, but I'm not.
That's what I was trying to figure out where you want to see it. Because I think Halo 5 led the people were going on searches and talking. There are reasons that you play that campaign. You know, we know those characters, we love those characters. We know our life, just work with it. We're just talking about Steve Nichols and obviously Jim Taylor, they're going to be able to do this forever. So I think you strike with it as hard and get all of their stories and finish the game. The trailer is achievable to stories. Can you tell the way that they to the meaning even for set up that there is no maybe they can do something. And also, I'm not.
It would be now. So let's take a segment here to talk about.
Come on.
E-Day. So you played some.
I didn't get it.
That actually versus matches under my belt because they had the servers were in for a few days, and it would be versus one day, Orange Siege another, and it's just the way my schedule worked out. I got in and played Siege server sessions, but I didn't play versus.
God damn it!
Right now, detailing your experiences, you put about 10 hours in a peaceful learning your influence in games.
I have not said this about Gears multiplayer in the past. As much as I love Gears, I've never said this in the past. But I am very much looking forward to multiplayer. And
come on.
It's definitely not because of this. Let me tell you that.
I didn't call timeout. They did.
But they did it again. It's the shotgun rolling and shotgun sliding. The Nasher is nasty stiff to this day. I went back and I played Reloaded and I played some Gears 5 just to check myself just to see how much of a difference there actually is.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Get him!
When it comes to the shotgun meta still exists. You just gotta do it.
I wish I could be relaxed.
Get pissed off.
Anyway, you were talking about PlayStation because Sony has responded to the absolutely July 6th. Sony announced the end of physical games, saying that coming up in 2028, they will not be printing any physical discs ever again. Spider-Man, Cyberpunk, nothing is getting printed on the disc. And people have been pissed. I mean, this last entire month, I'm recording this on the last day of July, everybody's been talking about PlayStation boycotts, PlayStation blackouts, selling their PlayStation collection to Nintendo for screw it, just building a big PC. And Sony has refused to respond to give any statement, positive or negative. But last night was their investor call. They sat down in Japan and talked about what pay their bills. And a lot of investors specifically asked about this forced all digital future. And Sony said a couple of things. They're not going to backtrack. People secretly love the all digital future. And so much of it implying that this is a measure. They're sort of saying that, hey, we do not just sell people empty coded boxes. We can afford and continue to print discs. And I'll break all this down because a lot of people are instantly just saying that Sony are liars. Sony cannot stop lying about the games you want to buy and how you want to buy them. This is purely just a predatory action by the biggest gaming company. Let's take a look at the statements because they are very long. I love having a great game. If you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Financial reports, things are definitely down. Just in general, typically PlayStation sells and blah blah. This actually people almost selling years, ever since the launch of the PlayStation 5. And obviously, that's for a couple of reasons. The fact that the PlayStation 5 has now had multiple price increases to the console itself. PlayStation Plus getting really expensive, I think, is probably very much steered people away. But it's wild that just in general, you can also tell that just their games not selling as well as they used to. Now, part of that's because, honestly, the only first-party game, Marathon, which I think nobody bought, but this is wild. Digital download ratio, 82%. Now we're going to get towards that in a second. A lot of people have been talking about this PlayStation boycott. PlayStation, people saying, so going to turn your pumps on until they respond. But a lot more saying, I'm done.
Just everything's falling to shit.
Because Sony has been seemingly people are only buying digital games. That the idea of a physical game is getting rarer and rarer, but it's funny that if you actually look at the numbers themselves, it's just not true. A lot of the biggest games are still being sold very heavily on the disc. Look at that. PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII Reaper, 88% of people bought it on a disc. Games were bought 45%. Assassin's Creed Shadows, 36%. And you could say vice versa, that a lot of these games, people are buying physically, they're still buying more digitally. But I just don't think it's quite that. I don't just think it's, oh, we've tipped from 51% to 52%. Time to scrap the factors. I do think this is scrap.
We missed. Good. Man, we gotta get our shit together. We were up 16-0. Now we're down 21-16. This bullshit.
With this new play, there are various reasons we made this decision. The biggest being that digitization of content overall has been progressing. That's the big factor. It's not just PlayStation. For all kinds of content, digitalization is progressing. Now, I hate that they're trying to say this. I think that, honestly, physical media matters. I know multiple people that like old school records, or obviously me, a big movie buff. I do think it's cool to have an actual physical piece. It's not just the fact that, like, plays go
fucking speared.
I hadn't seen YouTube yet, and I watched it on a 4K Blu-ray, and it looked fantastic. Right before that, we watched Dune 1 streamed on HBO Max, and the quality was terrible. It's not just that physical media is more enjoyable, tangible. It's that now a lot of times the quality is better because you can do it even if your internet is down, even if you don't want to install.
Here we go. Let's go.
Just pop it in, just enjoy it. So yes, and more people are enjoying digital content because of things like Netflix and Spotify. But I don't like the idea of even trying to chase the trend of every other article, right? Think about the future. We've a lot of way at time, so we cautiously consider this, and we came to the conclusion cautiously this decision. We see various opinions. People have strong views.
Oh man, I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Games are loved by many people. And game that's loved by people that's connected to people's fond memories in many cases. So we understand those emotions.
That's a dumbass play.
Digital neutral system. How we engage the gamers is something we'd like to continue to explore. Essentially saying, we realize that you guys are
Fuck.
so much in it, and that's just PlayStation gamers. PlayStation gamers love to be passionate, and no, we're not going to backtrack. Screw you guys. A lot of it's about any media. The reason it's simple, it's like green. Green is no limits. We understand those emotions. We'll completely include in anyways. My first DVD player, my last PlayStation. Oh man, this is wild, man. But it's just
Yes, let's go.
Physical doesn't matter that much. In fact, they even said this in North America. Their plan is to replace all discs going forwards. In North America, it's already happened. Without discs in the package, there'll be
Come on.
That's how we plan on selling games in America going forward. Sony says they've already discussed the plan with retailers beforehand, and this will be their solution. Essentially, they're saying, yep, there will be a second-hand market, but you're going to sell you $50 from now on.
Ah, you fucker, you...
To see something, to go to a store, check out a demo, a live movement that maybe we GameStop to find a
Wow.
there is
I knew as soon as I let it go, man.
that they just yanked out. They just reached into the gears and yanked out. This is part of what holds up the entire industry. I see stuff like this. Capcom says that 96% of all their sales, or here it is, 93% of all of their sales are digital games. And to me, just like this isn't really a network. Lots of numbers like this. That's like, okay, so Switch 2 these are digital sales. PC is only digital sales. That means that physical units can only be counted as people buying it on an actual disc on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, right? And I guess I just see this kind of stuff as skewed numbers. It's not really that 93% of people are buying digital. It's that 80% of people are buying the games and only can buy that digital route. How much of this is downloadable content? How much of this is stuff you buy from the new game for $2 on a Steam sale or something like that, and you're still waiting to find that physical disc? Because I just don't like the idea that they're acting like that physical games are so irrelevant, they're easily tossed aside. Like, when I see stuff like this just shows the fact that honestly the sales are down. They're negatively impacted by these rising costs. Even if people are playing it, 2% of people are playing it clearly. Right now, people just don't care about the PlayStation that same way. Artificially limit the amount of times you buy a physical game. Count physical game, for instance, digital sales, released given the box to confuse the gamers. Inflict physical and digital sales. It's all by design. People are basically putting out the fact that right now, just in general, PlayStation games lying to you. They're lying to you via numbers, but they're lying to you. During some recent call today, for the first time in a month, they reacted to the backlash and it went about as well as expected. Let's analyze it. First of all, they seem to emphasize that 18 months ahead of the time is a respectable period to give notice. No comment on the fact that basically everybody was surprised to hear the announcement coming so soon.
Knocked him down, but it couldn't move forward.
There's a shift in language. Initially, they believed that their consumer
All right, come on.
their reasoning doesn't fully look at the numbers. But they claim that digitization doesn't only affect PlayStation, but small kinds of content, and that is true. There's the rise of years. At the same time, they can be future trends in recent years. It's a statement that makes it sound like correction is inevitable in all multiple scale. Now, what do they did with this giant statement I saw? I'm not going to read all this, but this actually one of the this is the head of market analysis and opinion analysis. Now, these people have done much very interesting things and break out stuff about how sales have been trending. PlayStation, about the PlayStation games have been selling in general. PlayStation continues to be on top, despite their own bad decisions. And essentially, it says that this is sort of their stop-gap strategy. This is a short-term margin harvesting approach.
Go.
It's PlayStation 5. The bet is that today's cost squeeze in the phase and not a permanent state. Hopefully, they will prioritize needs as the AI data center gold rush comes. Undeniable growth memory. And again, the macro picture interest rates, cost of living pressure on discretionary spending softens. Going discless keeps the value revenue per player growing through that time, pumping up numbers, while the underlying economics are ugly. So what the conditions do is PlayStation comes out the other side with margins intact, and hence is still going from into bridge and cross of bad news. The risk, of course, is that the bridge doesn't reach anywhere better. And another important bridge will also get worked in the process. Budget conscious.
Come on.
System for cheap real discs, and then they get locked in by buying digital games, buying DLC, subscribing to PlayStation Plus, and building a friends list. They don't want to walk away from physical games or some of the cheapest ways into PlayStation in a generation of consoles, about 700.
No.
Split outside the sports people, casual gamers, and youngsters will drift faster, squeezing every fire onto the unprompted bunch of channels is what platform holders do with underlying.
Let's go!
Even AAA prices, light, and post-pandemic readjustment are partners. So no discs will show up revenue per player, but the bundle meaning towards the platform begins to shrink. And this is the thing right here. There's been more data that most people play free-to-play games. Most people play them, and they're addicted to them, to be honest. A lot of people play free-to-play and spend all their money on rival skins that new big battle pass for Fortnite or Roblox V-Bucks. That's apparently like
Right.
a huge spending is that. And when you tell these people, hey, don't you want to go buy a full-priced game? Don't you want to buy a $50 game? A lot of times people say, no, I'm not currently playing this. I'm helping with this. But a lot of times it feels like people...
Oh, onside kick.
This is going to accelerate that dramatically. The idea of an all-digital future, if you're not going to own anything...
Oh, I thought I was going to trick him. I didn't.
Might as well just play a crappy...
It's fine. We'll just have to play good defense.
As for PlayStation, it's no interest in actually catering the hardcore collectors, the hardcore gamers, the people that love a good story. It's all just live service swap forever. Again, this to me feels bullying. I'm glad they replied, even if the answer is negative. I'll be honest, I'm glad they replied. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you could please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else,
He didn't have to snap it before the 2-minute warning.
Once again, everyone, go over in addition to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch 2 Edition, blowing up on the sales chart, and some really cool revelations. Fantasy 14, the single plus great Switch 2. So before we continue, we are here playing Nintendo Switch 2.
Come on, right up the fucking middle.
Subscribe, like, comment, choose, and anyway. Thanks, babes. Alright, let's go. Nintendo Switch 2 Nation, and some of the summer. Look at what players are playing, less popular, what's going on. Let's see the variety that we get here. A little bit release that happens to you. And the Xenoblade Switch 2 Edition. The upgrade now the game is fully out on the Switch 2. You get the upgrade pack, you get the version itself, and it's doing pretty good. It's not very on the board, just fucking stuff around the moment. We should have a version of the check that we saw on the map. It's looking pretty good. This is some great.
Alright, we gotta get the stop.
7,000 visible. It's been a tough summer. As well as the issue Amazon different places. It's a resurrection and selling out.
Oh, we picked it up! We got a chance to win!
I didn't see any of those. I just had two of the regular version of Nintendo Switch 2. So it's two waiters hoping out a bit of a system seller around the world. But seems like one of those two Switch upgrade back. Number 2, Chuck that is one of the best games from the Nintendo Switch 2. And arcade systems for a second. The stuff that I saw was some things that happened right. Resolution is upscale, just like it's a thing. It's inside upscale, but it looks this. So, the Nintendo Switch 1 against this, all we wanted was making sure the game does not run at 360 normal and sub 30 FPS at time. That's all. And that's
Come on.
60 FBS most of the time got a much cleaner image that's not look all crusty like it does for the book. So that's where we wanted that was what was done with it. So we keep saying to snap into the first district division and operate shows that are going to they didn't get how that might be playing or like it was based off of that, but just get into it right now.
Fuck.
Switch to positions. Select.
We got it! Yes! Fuck yeah!
PlayStation. We just need PlayStation exclusives. PlayStation. PlayStation. But now the because of the trends that we're seeing in Japan.
And the two.
The sales we're seeing, Square Enix has made equally 100%. And on Nintendo Switch 2, this is the first game. They started out with fantasy, any of the MMOs that's made by Nintendo Flower. It is a big function. I've seen quite a number of Japanese gamers out there getting up and that it is a step. About this, I think that test that Nintendo did, the Nintendo Switch Online network testing, avatars and stuff, I think that was actually the test run for Final Fantasy 14 because I think that was a test run and stuff to see how many people can stress the servers so they can get a game like Final Fantasy 14. I really think that's what it was, and that's
Alright. Keep everything in front of you. Great. No!
So well as the traders continue with this one at the top now, those being the game like that, I was like 100% of it. I was like, well, on this certain line list,
Damn it, he's in field goal range. And it's good! The game continues! We're going to overtime.
They talked about some of these unreleased games and the release of them. It's pretty.
Go defense.
This is a. This thing to avoid it.
So we know what we have to do.
Black and White Sports Quarters. Well, we got breaking news in here, and it's big in the world of sports broadcasting.
more specifically, the number one spot on the CBS team, which is Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. It was Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. It's now Jim Nantz and JJ Watt? Question mark? JJ Watt. Yeah, I told you guys the other day. I like Tony Romo. I do. I know a lot of people hate on him. I think he's hilarious. To be quite honest with you. And I get a kick. I know everybody gives him shit over Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I love it. It's funny, isn't it? Chris Cole. I laugh my ass off. It's hilarious.
Yes, we are. So let me tell you about this game, dude.
His body camera footage the other day.
Let me tell you about this game. I was up 16-0. I ended up down 28-16. Then I went up 31-28, and with 12 seconds left, he went down the field and scored a field goal and sent it to OT, 31-31. So I've overcome a 12-point deficit. He overcome a 16-point deficit. And on fourth down, he scored a touchdown. Damn it. This has been the wildest game all year. And he missed the 2-point, so if I could get a touchdown, an extra point will win it. He decided to go for 2. I was up 16, then I was down 12, then we ended up tied. Ugh. Fuck's sake. Go, go, go! Touchdown! Now all I have to do is make this extra point for the win. It's good! We win! (38-37) one of the most spectacular college football games you will ever see. Oh, we gotta look at these highlights. Well, maybe not. Wait, scoring plays. I'll do scoring plays. Or not. Never mind. Alright. Just move on. Damn! Just, what a game.
I said Tony Romo came out looking better. I thought he came out looking much better. Frankly, he came out even more like
what a game. Alright, now we got Iowa coming up. Idiots out walking around.
That dude seemed as sober as all get out. Evidently, he had an open container. Well, that's never good. It's not. But, wow.
I am shocked that CBS
Some of the wait times have been absurd.
hits this round. We'll look at some reaction. Adam Schefter, CBS Sports announced analyst Tony Romo's on leave from his role until further notice. Yikes. J.J. Watt is going to replace Romo.
Iowa versus Louisville. Hawkeye versus Cardinals.
CBS will go on to say we will release the remainder of our NFL on CBS roster. So, this. The rest of it. Like there, guys, I don't know if you know this. There's team 1s, teams 2, teams 3, teams 4, teams. Every network. Well, Amazon, no, but NBC technically yes, because there's some cross-pollination during extra games when they actually have them. Like if they got a Peacock game and they got a TV game, etc. Yeah, that does happen.
Still Hawkeyes.
Anyway, let's just check it out. You knew they'd be responsive. Jim, that's funny. He'll be back week 1. They'll say he went to rehab and took some time off to recover, and he will be back as normal. Slap on the wrist, no way. They let him go from his contract, by the way. 10 years, $150 million signed in 2020. So he should have 4 seasons left. I'm black. Okay, thanks for telling us, I guess. I'm black, and I think this is wrong. You know what? Yes, there he is right there. Free Tony Romo.
Free Tony Romo.
That's crazy. Jim Nance right now. That's my quarterback. Oh, God. One of the best scenes at present.
Right, let's just leave the middle wide open.
You can see what's being recorded. Oh, Josh Allen. Oh, no. That's
All this guy is doing is going short.
Yeah, he's scared. Oh, come on!
JJ in the booth. Bullshit, that's it. Seen hands down. You didn't do anything wrong. Free Tony. Go Eagles fans.
Tony Romo's been replaced. J.J. Watt will replace Tony Romo in the booth. Oh man, that blocking sucked for me. He was really good.
I mean, you could not get in the transgressions. I know why can I get this? Jason Voorhees hit him with a machete. And I'm talking about Mark Sanchez and Tony Romo's like, and man, what is okay? Yes, I've walked the line, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to stretch out. I've had a million surgeries. I've had a million concussions. I mean, because of a DWI, active players have that and show up to work with them. What a great point. What a great point. You got fucking villains all over the team. They won't miss a damn game. This is bullshit. He better be there the first Sunday of the season.
Damn it.
This is a massive mistake. J.J. Watt had zero broadcasting chemistry with Jim Nance. CBS just ruined their entire coverage for the season. This does not stick.
Fuck!
Look at it. Sanchez and Tony Romo. I've got a Hispanic guy that does a lot of work for me. And, yes, he played but anyway, he does a lot of work for me. He will tell you very quickly, Mexicans like to drink, okay? He would say that. He said that. What am I talking about?
Oh, what a play on third down!
This is ridiculous. He announces games for a league with domestic violence cases. But he can't have a beer in Wisconsin? The drinking capital of the country? We want to act like he murdered 10 people in incredible terror. I just don't, bro. He can't even have a few beers while golfing anymore?
Oh, that's just a terrible fucking throw.
It's overreaction. I stated my video the other day. There's no way CBS would take an action against him. Shit, I was wrong. What? Oh my goodness. I really am. I think they did Tony Romo dirty as hell here. In my opinion. That's my opinion. Again, he came across.
Get him! Make him fucking fumble and regret it!
There, he said that loud. Sure did. Said it.
Fuck!
He's the man.
The spy on.
Thanks for watching.
Change. Spy.
It's fun. It's the two most talked about prospects.
God damn it.
So Sony just had their earnings call, quarter 1 of 2026, and obviously a lot of people on the call were interested in their decision when it comes to PlayStation to end physical game distribution starting in January of 2028. And Sony's CFO, Lin Tao, I hope I'm saying that right, did indeed address these questions and concerns when it comes to why PlayStation decided to all digital, what it means for consumers and what it means for them, and well, they don't really care about it.
Yes!
The answers are absolutely hilarious to me. It's just like, yeah, people are complaining, but what are you going to do? This is what we want to do. This is what we're going to do. Get kicked off.
Oh, shit! A play action! Dude, that fooled me, fooled the camera and everybody! Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
PlayStation. Investors call. I'm going to tell you guys what I think about it. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to do all that YouTube crap. But let's just hop straight into this. So Lin Tao started out by saying the following about why Sony is deciding to kill PlayStation physical games starting in January of 2028. Kind of what the reasoning was behind it and what that kind of means going forward. So Lin Tao said the following. We announced that from January 2028 onwards, we will no longer be manufacturing game discs. So we announced it 1.5 years ahead. Wow, it's so gracious of you.
Get his ass! Come on!
We announced it. That's fine. Who cares? We gave you plenty of time to worry about this, to realize that you're being limited in the amount of options that you have. Then Lin Tao goes on to say the following. There are various reasons we made this decision. The biggest being that the digitalization of content overall has been progressing. That's the big factor. It's not just for PlayStation, but for all kinds of content. Digitalization is progressing. And so, when we think about the future, we put a lot of thought and time, and we cautiously considered this and came to this conclusion, and we're going to cautiously move this forward. So basically, what Lin Tao is saying to you in this first quote that she gave during this investors call is, piss off. That's pretty much what they're saying here. Trying to pat yourself on the back for announcing it 1.5 years in advance.
Lag.
There are still many questions and concerns, especially when you are planning on releasing new hardware potentially between now and that year and a half, or even say 2 to 3 years or something like that. There are so many questions that pop up about it. Of course, the digitalization of content overall, like that's becoming a new blanket term. You know, you can just latch on to saying, oh, well, everything is moving digitally. Well, why is it moving digitally? Is it because you're not manufacturing physical stuff? Is it because a large majority of games that come out are only available on a digital store?
Yes!
They have to try to speak about these splits.
Next time, hit him in stride. That'd be a touchdown.
1% of the games sold are digital. Those games available physically? No. Are those games just console games, or are we talking about PC games? Say, oh, we're talking about PC games as well. It's like that Capcom thing. Go check out the Capcom video from a couple of
Turn around, dickhead.
when it comes to, you know, the numbers and what they actually mean when you kind of look at it. Now, of course, Lin Tao was not just settling on saying this in the movie. Oh, we have many more books to go over, including the following. To this decision, we have received various opinions, and people have strong views, and we understand that the community has put forward those views to us. Games are loved by many people. It's a form of entertainment that's loved by people, and it's connected to people's fond memories in many cases, so we understand those emotions. We want to consider in a future digital ecosystem, how do we engage with gamers is something we would like to continue to explore. So once again, we're completely ignoring the elephant in the room. The reason that a lot of people like physical games is because of having options when you're purchasing games. A reason that people like physical games is because it gives a sense of true ownership over something like a
Touchdown, motherfucker! Touchdown, motherfucker!
You know, issue for this, that, the other update. So you could argue, you know, is this truly physical or whatever? But it definitely gives you a leg up when you're comparing it to something that is all digital. Because if something is all digital, it can't be removed at any point in time because of licensing issues, because of this, that, and the other. And if you only have a digital storefront, how do you think those licenses are going to work? To say that, you know, it's just based on fond memories or something, like it's some nostalgic thing. People, the ones who just promoted a new record player on your social media, Sony, like, well, what the fuck are you talking about here? They literally just like a week ago, maybe a few days ago, they were promoting some new vinyl player that they have. They're like, oh, enjoy your vinyls. And it's like, well, wait a minute, why can I enjoy vinyls, but I can't enjoy a physical video?
By CEO Asha Shore. This comes shortly after. We'll just call it an abysmal number. It reads as follows. The Xbox CEO lays out the memo.
Should have been picked off.
Here's the juicy points. We will return to Xbox player and revenue growth by the end of fiscal year 2027. We're strengthening our platform led by console content, bringing great games into franchises. Nation, they like great. The worlds that fans love that is the check this out where it's getting CC. Again. Now I want to talk about each of these points one at a time, but first, now real quick before I really get into it, if you are cheaper than me, for example, Batman Origins here on the Steam store versus on Aniva, yeah, a little bit of savings there, right? Aniva uses verified sellers. It's trusted by millions as an indicator. Honestly, a huge miss to not invested in this already. I have seen a ton of those Minecraft-style games pop up, and really, people should be empowered to do that within Minecraft. Roblox came along and basically had a similar premise, and now Roblox is one of the biggest platforms on the planet. I think that is a big part of Asha's strategy of they get 2 million users per day. In addition, we have content, great games, franchises. I think we see that with what they're doing with Fallout. They're trying to make it robust, like movies, TV, all that good stuff, right? So,
Third and inches.
that's a better chance of getting. Just saying, games for Xbox Game Pass, and she actually put on the post today that I thought was interesting. It's not console focused, but it says, this summer we've expected Xbox to reach more than 150 million TVs and devices around the world, as not everyone can afford dedicated gaming hardware.
Son of a...
So, how do you play? Trust this Samsung that we still have around, and we have Game Pass on it. It's okay. I think it's getting even better with every new iteration, and I would love to try out some modern video from you in the comments below about what you feel about it. But this is one way I think to make it that billion users a day. It's the movies, it's the television, it's the games, it's everything, and Minecraft is going to be a big part of that. Extend the worlds that fans love connection. So that is more about how do we get more experiences for fans, Mario
man.
has theme park, they're doing movies.
Gosh, damn it.
Franchise. In addition to all of this, there have been a few other votes going on. Xbox will measure progress towards its goal in 3 stages. Sherman said the first is to return to growth by the end of fiscal year 2027. The second is to turn its bets into growth in financial year 28, financial year 29. Our 4 C's and roadmap must move into business, producing meaningful player value and revenue acceleration. Now, I think it goes without saying that you're going to need revenue to survive. For example, Double Fine, they were given a runway, but they're announcing now that they're independent again. They've had to reduce their staff by about 25%, so 23 people are gone, pulling divestment from Xbox.
That was a weird physics. Really? I'm short by an inch?
Yeah, I think they need to make these tough decisions, just like Xbox just did. And remember, their plans to do that for the rest of the year, so we're not done seeing the playoffs. And, they're going to start generating revenue. And the final quote, this is Asha Sharma via The Verge, via Kotaku reporting as the paywall. Sorry, no. Xbox will also be searching for new players through PC Cloud and other platforms. Long-term plans include monetizing big franchises like Fallout across film, television, consumer products, sponsorships, live experiences, and form new partnerships globally, including China, as well.
Whatever.
Even more investment into Candy Crush and Minecraft. At one point, the CEO reportedly mentioned being more focused on not just the company's biggest franchises, but its biggest IPs. So it seems like internally they were
Snap it.
interested in ways to hear about. Some interesting stuff that came out yesterday, though, that obviously correlates to this. Tom Warren posted this, and you're curious, to see how they're doing. You see this negative 1.7 billion? That's where Xbox is right now versus server box services is up 31 million. That is not a good place for Xbox to be. Windows and devices is now 0.2 billion and Xbox is at 1.7 billion.
Yes! Another 4th down touchdown.
The Newsweek Spec Summer Xbox's worst financial quarters in years. Xbox content and service revenue, including Game Pass, was down 10%. Xbox hardware revenue dropped 13%. Overall gaming revenue also declined from the same period last year. Microsoft posted a record quarter with Microsoft's AI growth, of course, though gaming was one of its biggest divisions. I honestly think you've never been closer to Xbox and being spun off than we have right now, just because of how down there a lot of these statements and these financial situations make it appear. It's not good. It's not a place for them to be. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella recognized that Xbox, we are making the necessary decisions required.
Oh my god, dude. That 1 billion % should have been picked off. That makes me sick to my stomach that he did not pick that off. That's a pick 6 the other way.
I mean, best of luck to them. I don't want Xbox to go anywhere. And honestly, regardless of the platform that you're the biggest fan of, you don't want any of these platforms to go anywhere. Because
he's past the line of scrimmage. He's past the line of scrimmage.
have all those outages. Like, Xbox is forced to address that and make a better experience. And I hope to heck that they are working on what they are going to do with the disc games being so they're going to do this that it seems like we are marching towards. So that's long and the short of the status of Microsoft and Xbox. It is not good. This is like a terrible work for them. And the question I still have that I don't have a clear picture on is, how do you get to a win state? When do we start seeing the shift?
Just stay away from it. Stay away from it.
Frankly, that we still have big games throughout the next 6 months, next year. They really did have the start of the year. So there's more that are going to come. And what is that going to look like?
All right, we get the ball to start the second half. Opportunity to tie here.
Opponent prices have been repeatedly discussed. Opponent prices that are out of control because AI, $30 million or some crazy money. Some of us really navigate that. They're talking about a 5x increase. So you're talking about this like that. Please.
Killed along the sideline.
Let's talk.
Whoa! I didn't get a play action off.
It's a like no stretch. The best twist of any work. These are just my personal favorites and how they affect me when I watched that for the first time. So, obviously, if I'm talking about twist endings, there are spoilers ahead. So watch with caution. Starting off with Ted, one that I think we all can forget how good of a twist this is because it's just common knowledge to us now and it's a screen. I'll never forget being a kid and being like, oh, Billy's the killer for sure. It's gotta be the boyfriend. And then seeing him kill, I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's not the killer. It can't be the killer. We just watched him get killed and then see him deliver the icon. Love you. And then, he shoots Randy at that point. This is one of those moments as a kid where I was like, I say, for me, hard to believe now. It would blood all over her when she's right in front of it. But
Oh, man.
I think this movie is a great twist. That stuff would be a lot back then. This isn't so much the ending twist. It's just the twist of the reveal. Everything's been set up from the beginning. And in every horror movie, logically could be explained in the Captain Woods universe. And I just love this movie.
Oh, fuck you!
Realization that they were sent here to die. This is why horror movies are what they are. I thought that was very obviously
My hand.
I feel like it still stands up today. Still a great film with a great twist. Number 8 is Identity. We know that there's a killer. This is in his head. I think that's the big twist to me. The fact that it was all in his head the whole time.
Fuck, man, I swear. That third down, dude, come on. You can't do that.
And then you get that kill right there. That's another one that really stuck with me the first time I watched it.
It was open.
Watched it. Like, that doesn't make sense. Then when they all have the same birthdays, you're starting to piece it together. It's great. It was in a very underrated movie.
Come on, dude, quit.
7 to me. Yeah. Okay, this isn't so much about it.
Oh, fuck you! Holy shit!
So sorry, like, oh, it's okay. They let me into it on the car, so everything's fine now. And then when he's in there and he grabs that mic, and he's like, I killed the wife and her son, I'm so sorry. They're all looking at him. and then they realize, you know, and obviously it's cool that the old lady is the devil. Like, I love that when she goes, the damn, I really wanted you. You know, like if we were talking about M. Night Shyamalan produced movies, this would be my favorite M. Night Shyamalan. And it all takes place essentially inside of an elevator. Great ride, no pun intended. Number 6 for me is about rated as a film and nobody talks about a lot, and that's Frailty. This movie had me on the edge of my seat the whole time the first time I had watched it. And you're hearing about, you know, the goddamn killer, and he's telling the story to the detective, and you realize that he's not the brother you thought he was this whole time. And just the detective the whole time, he was actually there to get him because he killed his own brother. And then you go back and you rewatch, and he never touches the detective anytime. He goes to shake his hand. He doesn't shake his hand. He goes to put him in the car. He moves himself so he can get in the car. There's a lot of the things you can pick up the second time watching Frailty that you did not pick up on the first time. And, you know, the end, you know, the camera's toward his face, the one guy sees everything, shakes his hand. You're a good man. Love Frailty. Love Matthew McConaughey's performance in that film. Number 5. Dead Silence. Now, a lot of people say they called this one, and if you really did, good for you, but this is a movie that I watched with zero expectations. I thought this was going to be a doll-type movie, a Child's Play, a Magic, a Megan type film, and it's not. This movie suffered from terrible, terrible marketing. It is so much more than just a killer doll movie, and really at the end, there is no killer doll in this movie. You got the twist of they brought him back because she was the perfect doll, now he's the dummy. And you get that twist there at the end where he just lets himself go and he screams so she can take him and he can become a part of the dead family.
Damn it!
And you know, the dad being dead and being a puppet the whole time. I didn't, so it definitely stood up for me. This was spoiled for me, but I still can't deny it. So before I give it to The Sixth Sense, I probably would have been a little high. It's spoiled for me. But this movie, man, the performances were great, and I don't know if I would have seen it. Obviously, I did because it was spoiled for me as a kid. But when you're watching it now, it's such a great movie. Like from beginning to end, this is a scary movie. It's got so many good scares. The ending, it's so damn good. That's all anybody ever remembers. But you know, you have the speech of Tony Collette and the Primo, then you know, shot himself, Misha Martin's performances, the beauty like a lot of great things happen about The Sixth Sense, but that ending is still so good. You know, like you really think that she's divorcing him, and when she's like, "Why'd you leave me?" She drops his wedding ring, like, hits you right in the chest. So number 4 for me, The Sixth Sense. My top 3 are pretty interchangeable, and number 3. Way, the first time I've seen it. It is. I got that Station 5.
There we go.
I had no idea. Some people say they called it because they saw some dates on something or whatever, and it's like, good for you, great job. I did not. And when they got on that plane and I saw the fight break out, I was like, no. At that point, your heart drops. You just know, like, they're done. There's nothing they can do. They're done. This was a prequel the whole time. And as somebody who personally is not a fan of horror movie prequels, I loved this movie, and I loved how they were able to really make this happen. I was shocked.
Come on, defense.
This to me is the best way, because I didn't know who was safe, I didn't know who wasn't, because I had no idea that it was before the events of the first movie. They didn't market it as a prequel, and it just shocked everybody. And I love this movie. It's hilarious, it's scary. Love the movie, and if you guys haven't seen Final Destination 5, give it a chance. Like, there's so many parts of this movie that are unforgettable to me. Some of the kills are amazing, so make sure you're checking that out. Number 2, this could easily be number 1. If this was, in my opinion, the best twist of all time, this would be number 1, hands down, easily. It's so. I saw this opening weekend, the case, and I'm telling you, man, he stood up. You felt the air leave the theater. Like, it just like, obviously it was opening weekend in 2004.
Holy fuck.
Human sensitivities and so everything to deal with. I've liked all new Sensodyne had the past and so new Sensodyne clinical repair starts to repair sensitive areas of the after 60 seconds.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
And we're watching it, and again, another movie that I don't think the first saw is an amazing film. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good, it was saved by a great twist ending. A lot of the acting is subpar, a lot of the character work is not the greatest. Damn, I love this movie so much, and like I said, a lot of it is because of the twist. This twist at the end is cool and powerful, but realizing that it's game over, and you realize that it was not at that moment. What a heartbreak. What a heartbreak. So number 2, and again, this was best twist in my opinion. This is number 1. We're talking about favorites. And my favorite twist of any horror movie is also the scariest twist of any horror movie. And that is Tales from the Hood. You know, you're watching these 3 gangsters go through and they're getting told these stories that are all terrifying.
Oh my God.
The beating on his stepson and his wife. Like you're getting some of the stories. Get the crazy kitty. And he's telling the story, and the story ends, and they got their guns trained out. And they're like, that last story was some cute motherfucker. You know, and
I did not
like,
win the challenge.
You know, something's up. As he's walking down the hallway, he's touching the light bulbs. And as he's touching the light bulbs, they're turning on, so you know something's up. So he takes him into the room, and they just gotta get drugs. And the whole reason that they came to the funeral parlor in the first place, so Mr. Sims is like, the shit is in the coffins. So they go and start opening the coffins, and it's them inside the coffins. And he's like, you know, after you killed Crazy Kid, some of his boys came and killed you. So I guess you didn't make it. And then he gives the reveal of this ain't a funeral home, and it's a terrible
Yes, we got it back. Intercepted.
So, this movie wrecked a little Kenny. This movie terrified me growing up in a big religious home. My grandmother was very religious, and so the thought of Satan himself was one of the stupidest things to me. So to see the devil, and I just watched him this whole time.
Oh.
Great movie endings, but the scariest horror moments in my life, this is always number 1. And you have to worry there at the end. So that is my top 10 twist endings. I would love to know your guys' list. So let me know in the comments what are some twist endings that I missed. What are some that maybe I went too low, maybe too high. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you haven't customize and save colors.
Fuck, man. Come on, dude. Get your shit together.
What's up, guys? Welcome to my review of Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. This is the Spider-Man. Team-up films that he's been in. And a direct follow-up to the successful Spider-Man: No Way Home, which I personally was a huge fan of. Now, to set the stage a bit, I have always been a massive Spider-Man fan. He's always been one of my favorite superheroes. I think he is just my number 1 favorite. And every single Spider-Man movie, live action and animated, even the ones that like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Raimi Spider-Man 3, I still enjoy those movies as lesser Spider-Man films. So I have no doubt that Spider-Man: Brand New Day was yet again going to be a film that I would enjoy on some level. But my hope was, after having such massive multiverse-type storylines, especially with the last film, and Avengers-type storylines and team-up movies, that we would finally get a New York City set Spider-Man-centric Spider-Man film. The concept, as great as I have thought that Tom Holland has been in this character, as well as the side characters that kind of embody his stories, that's always been something that's been missing for me. And I always felt like he had to be consistent with this other huge character like Iron Man, Nick Fury, or the other Spider-Man. And so I really want to see him get his
film. He is the main focus, the story, the setting, everything feels like a Spider-Man universe film rather than Spider-Man within the Marvel universe. In the end of Spider-Man No Way Home seems to
That's a one-hander?
the spell to basically erase his existence, and he's lost his aunt. He loses his best friend and his girlfriend, and then it shows him as this solo guy swinging around New York during Christmas time. That seemed to be exactly the hints that they were dropping. But during the production of this movie, that became a little bit more skewed, with some producers very much wanting to do that, and other producers wanting to do something that's a little bit more leverage, a little bit more multiverse-centric, trying to outdo what they did with Spider-Man No Way Home, which kind of seems like an exercise in futility. With even them choosing a direction and locking in a script, starting to release details like Frank Castle, the Punisher, and Bruce Banner, the Hulk, being added into this movie, started to give me some pause that we're going to get again in the Spider-Man film, where he's just kind of a cog in the wheel of this greater universe. Now, the premise of Spider-Man Brand New Day has Peter Parker anonymously saving New York City as the hero Spider-Man, and there is a brand new threat that descends into the city that seemingly is able to control the citizens of New York. All the while, Peter Parker is dealing with an internalized issue where his superpowers and his physiology is starting to evolve out of his control. It's starting off the positives for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Luckily, this is exactly the movie that I wanted it to be. This is the movie I've been waiting for quite some time from Tom. As much as I've enjoyed his previous 3 films, this is the first time that I feel like I have gotten a true Spider-Man movie from his iteration. And I enjoyed the hell out of that. It is very much a Spider-Man-centric story that is telling a very interesting narrative about him kind of breaking into this new era of...
No, I deserve it. Fuck it. I deserve it. Fuck it. Just pour it on.
So being the focus inside of them, this movie feels like a Spider-Man movie with footprints of the Marvel Cinematic Universe inside of it. As far as the story, I think this is the strongest narrative from the top iteration of Spider-Man. I like the fact that it is very centric around his character. I like what they do thematically with it, where Brand New Day as a title, as a concept, is not just about, him trying to get into this life. It's also about him enjoying the chase of Spider-Man into this definitely adult version of Spider-Man with adult emotions and adult problems. And it's a very emotional, it's a very heavy film. And I think the emotional stuff and the human relatable element of Spider-Man is what has made him.
I picked it up. I'm going the other way.
Because whatever's going on with him as a character, and in the best Spider-Man movies, is something that all of us relate to. We've dealt with. This one's very much about loneliness and isolation, feeling like you're on your own, waiting for somebody that you can't have, the sacrifice that comes along with that, trying to fill voids with things, and never really feel like you're able to fill that hole. And the way that they kind of develop that storyline with his relationship or lack thereof with MJ and with Ned was surprisingly emotional for somebody like myself. Like, I was actually looking forward to moving on from those characters. And another thing that I wasn't sure how to take the end of No Way Home. It's going to be just a struggle in the next movie where we're saying goodbye to them and moving on to Gwen Stacy, something like that. But I like the fact that they stuck around and we got a storyline about Peter Parker being ripped away from everybody. Where you see these other characters, you see his friends be able to grow up and like this natural graduation from high school into college and longer, and he was just like artificially shoved into isolation, wasn't really able to work with them, and so he's almost like stuck where he was in No Way Home and can't find a way past them. And so the story, both externally and internally, is about him trying to find a way to break through that ceiling, become the person that Peter Parker is, and that he needs to be to become that next level. And one of the reasons that it works so well as a narrative is because all the other characters, both the Spider-Man side characters as well as the greater those characters, as well as the villain of this movie, are all here to serve and complement that storyline and that character arc of Peter Parker. At no point does it feel like there's subplots or other things or setup or other universe movies that are like tearing away the focus and the screen time away from that central storyline. They're all here to be cogs in the wheel to make that central storyline work. So as much as Punisher and even Hulk are these characters, they serve a purpose within the story for why they are appearing in this movie. And I'm not going to say much about the villain because it's one of the secretive elements of this movie.
All right, we need a touchdown, an onside kick, another touchdown, and a 2-point conversion, and we got 13 seconds to do it.
And so it all very much crescendos in this really nice way, which I think is what makes some of the best superhero movies out there, is when you can find a way to have some kind of internal strength for a character with the protagonist be a bit of a mirror image of the full point of what's going on. And I'm talking a little bit about the side characters here, namely Frank Castle and Hulk, that I was worried about. I'm very much a fan of this iteration of Punisher and portrays the character. I've been heavily critical of how they have utilized this iteration. He's constantly in this origin story mode, and he's been the character for 10 years, and still looks like we're at the storyline. But I was more so worried to believe about how it was going to fit.
Damn.
How is this big heavy character?
We got one more game for the eyes coming up. The eyes have it.
As his attitude, his persona, even like some in jokes, little cute moments there where they're like trying to find ways to kind of censor him, and his profanity, it worked. And his chemistry with Tom Holland is great. Punisher's chemistry with Spider-Man, the two characters, is great. The way that they work alongside each other, and there's a bickering, some back and forth. There's a really nice payoff at the end of the film that got a really good laugh out of my theater with their relationship. To me, I think it's the best way that we've seen that character utilized since Daredevil Season 2, and he's not, really being the Punisher yet. So I hope this is a sign of great things to come from his Punisher. Can we finally get Punisher storylines now where he's actively out there doing missions as the Punisher? Because the way they utilized him here was great. And even with Bruce Banner Hulk, which I was infinitely more skeptical about, because he's a
Iowa State
character, figuratively and literally. But also, I have loved the way that they've utilized the Hulk in the last number of movies. I'm not a fan of the Professor Hulk thing that much. I did not care at all for the bit of She-Hulk that I watched, and the way that they utilized him here, just like with Frank Castle, I think is the best utilization of Hulk that we have seen in quite some time. Narratively, it makes sense for what's going on with Peter's character, why he would seek out Bruce Banner, and why eventually Hulk would come into the picture. It's a great sequence, it's a great action sequence, but it's also a great narrative sequence as well. Like, it's not just there so that we can have a fight scene with Spider-Man and Punisher taking on the Hulk. It's there because there's something narratively going on with Spider-Man that mirrors what Bruce Banner struggles with, and the end of the sequence is not a payoff of like, oh, that was a cool fight scene. It's like, oh, wow, that's actually a really profound moment. That was great.
I'm staring at you for like hour response.
It's like, wow, that's like that was great. As far as performances, everybody does a fantastic job. I would say that this is the best that we have seen of Tom Holland yet. He's one of those actors that I think that for the most part he gets better every single time that I see him. He gets better with this character every single time that he plays him. He did a fantastic job with the more dark emotional moments in the previous film after the death of Aunt May, and exponentially more so here. Like, this is a very tortured Peter Parker in this movie, and so while you do get the very lighthearted and funny and jovial side of Peter Parker, and he's great at that, in the darker, more emotional moments, you really see his performance shine a lot. I also thought Zendaya did a great job. It was kind of a surprise how great of a chemistry her as an actress, but more so the character that MJ has with Punisher. Like some of their interactions with some of the best stuff, because she's a little bit more like that darker, like a little bit more emo style of MJ, and there's something about that that the Punisher likes, so they just kind of back and forth. It's really fun. But as far as standout performances aside from Tom Holland, I think Sadie Sink potentially steals the entire show, especially in the back half of the movie. And she's somebody that has done great stuff within Stranger Things, of course, but we not like a movie she done great and Whale. This is a performance of a character that I really enjoy.
Okay, this guy likes to run more than throw. I don't know how Florida Atlantic's got better ratings than Iowa State. That's stupid crazy.
But also just from the suit that he's using now that is different, but the way that they have shots and kind of executed the swinging scenes is a really interesting change. Now it's very CGI driven, it's others, but this is very much inspired from the Insomniac Spider-Man games that I'm a massive fan of, and so it really does put you like inside the POV of Spider-Man as he is swinging through New York, and it's very visceral and it's very exciting. And whether it's like from the inside of his mask, which you saw that shot in the trailer, or it's just like a POV shot of his arms and the web, like it's a very different way to visualize Spider-Man doing his thing we've seen in any other movies, and I thought it was a really cool addition. The action sequences were all really fun. There wasn't really like a standout one throughout most of the movie, and I was worried by the end of it I was going to come in here and say it's all suitable, but there's not like that really like kick-ass moment. And right when I thought that we got a kick-ass moment, there is a fight scene with the hand inside of like this cage locked room. That was awesome. It was one of the standout like Spider-Man fight sequences that we've gotten in any of these movies so far. So that's definitely like a big moment that I really enjoyed. But even
well, 3 now. That's a good way to start. Awesome.
They visualize the powers and the threat of what is going on with the villain and how they're like doing certain things with the citizens of New York. Again, very much gave me the vibe of that Denzel Washington movie Fallen, which is a big favorite of mine, so that was really cool. I don't know if that was actually an inspiration, but in my head canon it is. It's always working its way in, baby. I also enjoyed the sense of humor in the movie. There was a lot of really good laughs. There's a scene inside of a bathhouse that was a great visual gag. There was a number of good lines from Punisher and Peter Parker and Zendaya, who's not MJ, and that's always something that's a little bit hit or miss, or extreme hit or miss, I should say, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe is certainly one of the better examples of that. So for as dark and as emotional as the movie is, you get some really good lighthearted moments as well, which is very important with Spider-Man, to kind of have that balance. And finally, I'll just praise the direction of Destin Daniel Brent. This is the director that took over for this movie. John Watson, the previous to this Spider-Man movie, he did the first Shang-Chi movie, which I enjoyed quite a bit. I think that was one of the standouts of the last couple of phases of MCU. And I just think he did a great job at making this movie distinctly his own, making it feel like its own chapter within Spider-Man's story, within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, without having like that template feel to it, without making it feel samey to anything else, even other Spider-Man films. Also just the way that he balanced the very important elements of Spider-Man, which is having like that very fun, exciting, visceral superhero action, but having the heart and having an emotional storyline and having that human element in there. And so as this movie is telling a story about Spider-Man trying to fight to find a balance between the human and the arachnid side of his DNA, this is a movie that had a perfect balance of the human and the arachnid side of Spider-Man to the mix. And really the only thing I can think of is really not even a reflection of this movie. It's more so just a question mark, a potential concern for the future of this Spider-Man franchise, this iteration, which is, I don't know how much more mileage we are going to get out of the characters of MJ and Ned. There are so many other very prominent side characters in Spider-Man lore, the Osborns, Gwen Stacy, that even though I felt this way at the end of No Way Home and was proven wrong with how well they were utilized here in Brand New Day, it does still feel like we're kind of artificially stretching the length of these characters' storylines. You know, there's something that I also question whether or not we're going to be able to keep sticking with Ned as his only friend and MJ as his only love, and not even start to feel like we're spinning our wheels or just starting to retread some certain things. Like, this was a very necessary story to tell as far as his personal isolation from them and being this missing piece of nature. I'm not sure that we can get close to I'm just excited about the prospect of seeing Spider-Man in his version of Stacy, this other heroes that we've ever seen in this universe of Spider-Man. So just something that it's not really a knock on me, just a thought that I have that I am very unsure about.
Good defense.
It's not something that is like it's big impediment throughout a lot of the sequences. It's just times here and there. So for me in 2026 and having the resources and the money that a Spider-Man movie has in today's age, it's always a little frustrating when that side of it isn't immaculate. You know, when I look back at the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, like that's a movie that, especially when you keep in context the time that they came out, it doesn't feel like there's standout moments that feel bulky. It feels like it's very consistent throughout the movie. This is one where it's consistent.
He stopped him. He didn't take his points.
I think it's fair to say that for some people, it's going to feel like it was a little bit too keeping certain things secret. There's certain characters, there's certain plot lines or reveals in the movie that feel very much like they're intended to be these huge, shocking, like, oh my god, reveals, make the whole theater gasp. I just don't really think they're at that level. Like, it's fun, and it's cool to not know everything about going into a movie. That's why I don't really watch a lot of trailers. But this is one where certain elements have been so caked in secrecy and so tongue-in-cheek about how secretive they are that I do think some people, when they watch the movie, they're going to be able to pick up on what's going to be revealed pretty early on.
There we go.
Matches character and this was so caked in secrecy. It's almost like that it draws your attention to it so much more. People start speculating and figure out the mystery, and then the eventual reveal doesn't land as hard as it should. That's a harsh example of it. This movie's much better than that, but that's kind of the way that I'm thinking. Significant issue I had in this movie.
Been high scoring all day until this game. For all of us.
I still think this was a fantastic Spider-Man film. The third act of this movie does have a lot of familiar elements to it. Some of the reveals, some of the directions that it goes, twists, even like final pieces, like final oh my god moments that you are supposed to not expect. You expect because we've seen this 30 minutes to an extent in a few other movies before.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible that some people are going to say that the movie doesn't quite stick the landing as well as they would hope. It's better in the beginning, and the second act and the third act felt like a little bit of familiar territory. I think that's fair. Overall, I highly enjoyed Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is easily one of my favorites of the Spider-Man movies so far.
So, 4th and inches, dude.
Just because in the back half, especially the third act, that there's so many huge fan service and emotional payoffs that it's hard to top that. But there's a lot of elements of Brand New Day, mostly the story, the cohesiveness, and feeling like a Spider-Man centric movie that I think very easily tops No Way Home. So after I sit up, I'm saying this is my favorite top 1 Spider-Man movie, and I can tell you now it's definitely in the top 4, if not top
He quit.
3 of Spider-Man movies in general for me. I absolutely loved it. Well, that's it for this
He
video.
quit.
Just have things here for all my 2026 new release reviews. If you enjoyed that, also click up here for a recent Spider-Man ranking that I did. I will probably re-rank the film since
He quit. All right. Thank you all for watching. That's going to do it for this stream. See y'all later.